Very good afternoon, one and all. Dear participants, I welcome you all. I welcome Dr. Sujata Balaraman, madam. Welcome, madam. Am I audible?
Yes. Welcome, madam. Welcome.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, madam.
I am happy to introduce today's resource person, Dr. Sujata Balaraman, madam. She has completed her UG and PG degree from Tyagaraja College of Engineering and PhD degree from Anna University in the year 2011. She has published 21 research papers in the reputed journals, including IEEE Transaction, and she has published nearly 75 papers in national and international conferences. She has produced one scholar, PhD scholar, and currently she is guiding 7 research scholars towards PhD. She has received Senior Educator and Scholar Award, which is powered by National Foundation for Entrepreneurship Development, Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu, India. She received Certificate of Appreciation from Academy Award Ceremony organized by Government College of Technology, Coimbatore. She has done research project worth rupees 10 lakhs under TechCube Fund. She has coordinated many FDPs workshops organized, funded by AICTE. She has delivered guest lectures in various programs like AICTE sponsored and other programs. So with these few words, I welcome you, ma'am.
Madam, shall we start?
Yes, ma'am. Please proceed. Since the time is only limited, so we will start the session. The participants may join later.
Okay. First of all, I like to thank coordinator madam for giving nice introduction about me, and I like to thank the principal and head of the Department of KLNCE for organizing this 8 Atal FDP. And my sincere thanks to the coordinator K. Nyanambal, my friend, for her continuous effort to bring this FDP in reality. And also I thank her for giving me an opportunity to share a session on the optimal allocation of and sizing of DG using differential evolution as well as Gray-Wolf optimization algorithm. And a very good afternoon to all the participants. And my presentation focuses on what is optimization and what are the various traditional methods and what are the shortcomings in the traditional methods and why we need a soft computing techniques. And we'll see in detail about the differential evolution algorithm and let us see one illustrative example as well as in detail about Gray-Wolf optimization algorithm with one illustrative example, and finally we'll see the algorithm for applying these techniques for finding the optimal sizing as well as placing of DG in smart grid. Okay, this is our presentation. Now we move on to now I like to share my PPT. Is my PPT shared, madam? Hello, shall I proceed? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You can proceed. Proceed.
Okay. So first let us see what do you mean by optimization. The optimization is nothing but it is a way of finding the best among the feasible solutions in the given circumstance. This is called as optimization. Okay, the optimization is defined as a process of finding the finest way to make use of existing resources at the same time satisfying all the constraints. So this optimization in the most of the real world problems we have to find a compromise and we have to take a best solution among the existing resources or existing circumstance. So either we have to maximize or minimize some quantity in order to optimize the outcomes. So this optimization is very, very important one. It helps to take a decision, and if you consider The objectives may be either we have to maximize some quantity or minimizing some quantity. If you consider our power system, where the objective of power system is to supply the adequate amount of power to the consumers at the reasonable level of quality and continuity, as well as the quality it should ensure the quality. Here the term quality means the voltage should be around the nominal, either plus or minus, it should lie within a plus or minus 5%. As well as we consider a frequency, the frequency should be maintained within a narrow rigid limit, plus or minus 1% from the nominal. If this condition is met, then the system is said to be secure. Here we have to minimize the production cost. We have n number of generators. We have to allocate the generation in the generators in such a way that we have to meet the demand, and the sum of generation should be equal to demand plus loss. Here, where the objective is, we have to minimize the production cost. Similarly, if we're going to manufacture some product, maybe the transformer, where our objective is it should give maximum efficiency, or the lifetime expectation should be maximum. So in real world problem, we have to, it is highly complex one, it involves more number of variables, so we have to take an optimal decision. So to apply any optimization algorithm, first you have to formulate the objective function. So objective function is nothing but it is a mathematical equation of a given system or a model, and this objective function can be formulated in terms of the decision variables. So first you have to identify what is our objective, then you have to identify the decision variables, then you have to formulate the objective function in terms of mathematical equation relating the decision variables. Then second one, we have to, if you consider the design variables, of course there is a boundary for the design variables. So within the boundary, we have to select a feasible solution. So if we consider, again, if we consider a power plant, thermal plant, where we consider a generator, alternator, this alternator, it has its own limitation. So it will, there is a boundary or there is a limitation for the real and reactive power supplied by the alternator. Because we cannot, usually the maximum limit is imposed for the real power generation, because the turbine, they do not have inherent overloading capability. Similarly, usually minimum limit is also specified for real power generation. Due to thermal, not to maintain the thermal stability with respect to a boiler, there is certain limitation. So below the limit, we should not, it is not advisable to operate the alternators, particularly the thermal plant. And similarly, the generators, it has its own limitation to supply the reactive power also. If we supply the reactive power beyond, if we operate the generator to supply reactive power beyond the limit, then the rotors is subjected to overheating. Similarly, it is also not advisable to operate the generator below the capability curve of the reactive power. Again, there is a stability issues. So every physical component, they has its own limitations, that is called as a design variables or boundaries. And as far as the constraint is concerned, there are two types of constraints. One is the equality and inequality constraints. We'll see later in the next slide what is the equality and inequality constraints. This economic dispatch problem, it is a well-known problem as far as the power system is concerned. Suppose we have n number of generators, assume that all the generators, they are very close to the load center. Here the objective is we have to find the optimal value of generation to be supplied by the generators in such a way that it should maintain the balance between generation and demand. So whenever the generators, they are all very close to load centers, here the equality constraint equal to simply sum of generation equal to demand. Suppose if the generators are far away from the load centers, then we have to transmit this bulk amount of power to the consumers through a transmission line. Then automatically there is a power loss involved. Now the equality constraint can be modified as sum of generation equal to demand plus loss. So here mostly the power plants, they are all dependent on the coal-based plant. It is a thermal plant where the majority of the production cost is due to the operating cost, where the operating cost is mainly governed by the fuel, that is a coal. So here the objective is you have to minimize the operating cost, that is a fuel cost. So first you have to identify the objective function. So here the objective is you have to minimize the cost. So first you have to need a mathematical equation for the objective function in terms of the decision variables. Here the decision variables are generations. where Ng refers n number of generators in a plant, and P suffix I it refers amount of power that should be supplied by the generators. Suppose we have 3 generators, sum of the 3 generations equal to demand plus loss. So this is a equality constraints, and of course the generation, it has its limit. So the real that will be upper limit and lower limit for the real power generation of a generators. So this upper limit is usually specified due to with respect to turbine, and here the lower limit is also specified. It's not advisable to operate the generators below certain limit due to thermal instability problem. So now this is an optimization problem where the objective is you have to minimize the operating cost subjected to the set of constraints. So one is the equality constraints, sum of generation equal to demand plus loss, and another one inequality constraints. Every generator has its own limitations. You have to find the optimal feasible solution within the limit of minimum and maximum. So now this is a optimization problem. Okay, and here the objective function is IF. It is actually a quadratic equation. It is a non-linear equation. So the applications, as far as the optimization application is concerned, so these are all the challenging area that we have to find the optimal solution. One is a site selection for EV charging stations. Next one, if we consider a allocation or location of fax devices or capacitor placement in a power system to enhance the voltage or for improvement of power factor, then we have to find the optimal placement for placing the either fax device or a capacitor. And similarly, if we consider here, the optimization is not only limited to electrical engineering, it is applicable to all the areas. Even we have to design a proper optimal design with respect to aircraft or aerospace in such a way that its overall weight should be minimum. Or if we consider machines, either motor or generator or transformer, we have to find the optimal design of a machines in such a way that it will give a maximum efficiency. Similarly, the optimization involves in the area of thermal plant where the pumps, turbines and heat exchangers, as well as nowadays we are moving towards the smart grid and microgrid where we have to place distributed generators. It may be photovoltaic, or it may be a fuel cells, or it may be a small wind turbine or micro turbines. So here the location is very, very important. We have to find the optimal location in order to maximize the benefits. And also for timetabling also, we have to need optimized solution. And these are the various solving methods. So for optimization, first you have to formulate identify the decision variables, then you have to formulate the objective function. And usually in real world problems, there are so many objectives to be optimized for a particular situation. So we have to identify the dominant objective and we have to consider all other objectives as a constraints. And as far as the traditional methods are concerned, there are so many solving techniques available, and some of the techniques are listed here. If the objective function is a linear one, then we can use a linear algebra, or differential calculus, gradient descent. And for as well as non-linear equations concerned, either you can use a Gauss-Seidel method or Newton-Raphson method and Jacobian. These are the some of the techniques listed. There are so numerous techniques available depending upon the nature of the variables, whether the variables are integer or a stochastic one. So depending on nature, there are so many techniques available. So this is a Jacobian method of solving a set of equations. Here you can consider three simultaneous equations involving the variables x, y, z. Here our objective is we have to solve the equations and find the solutions. Since it's the linear equations, there is a straightforward method of solving the equation. If we apply this Jacobian method, then the procedure is first you have to express the unknown variables. In the first equation, we can express x in terms of y and z. Actually, this y, z, they are all the unknown variables. Similarly, we can express y in terms of x and z, and similarly the third variable also expressed in terms of the unknown variables x and y. Now we have three equations for the unknown variables, and in the right hand side also we have the unknown variables. So in order to find the solution of this set of equations, now we can apply iterative technique. For that, first you have to assume some initial solutions. Here initially we can assume all the values as 0. So this is our initial guess value. Here you can assume one set of solution. Then substituting these values in the equation 1, then we get a new value of x. Then substitute this new value of x as well as the previous assumed value of z. Then we get a new value of y. Then find z using this updating value of x and y, we get z. So at the end of one iteration, we have a new set of x, y, z values. Then once again, we have to repeat the procedure. Now we have to substitute this updated value of x, y, z and find another new set of x, y, z. So this is iterative process. This iterative process continues and until when there is a successive, when the solution this x, y, z for a successive 2 iterations is similar, then we can terminate the process. This is a traditional methods. So in conventional method, that is in traditional method, if you apply iterative technique, first you can assume some values for the unknown. That is called as initial guess values. Then we can substitute and find the new set of values. And here this is this type of characteristic where the objective here along y-axis it is objective function, along x-axis it is a decision variable, and this is the nature of this variation of the objective function with respect to the decision variable. And this type of characteristic is called as unimodal or a convex function. Here there is a unique solution. Here suppose if our objective is to find the minimization of a particular equation, and suppose this is a nature of the characteristics, then there is a one unique solution. So what any algorithm, whether traditional or soft computing method, whatever may be the initial guess, whether we can start our initial assumed values here, then as iteration progress, at every iteration we get some step value, then automatically we can able to locate this optimal point. Similarly, suppose the initial guess value is here, then over a time period of iteration, if our objective is to find this optimal point, then surely we can achieve this point. Because it is a convex function or unimodal function. Unimodal function means it has one unique optimal solution, that is called as global solution, and any algorithm, whether it's a traditional or non-soft computing, they can able to locate this optimal point. So here there is no issues with convex problem. However, the real world problems are highly non-linear and it is a multimodal type. Multimodal means it has more number of optimal solution. That is, suppose our objective is to find the minimization, there are so many minimal points and there is a only one global solution, and the remaining values are taken as considered as a local solution. And sometimes the constraints may be also complex one, and also the different objectives, they are all conflicting. Suppose we have to minimize the cost by placing DG, as well as we have to maximize the loadability. Then there are two objectives, multi-objectives, then we have to find the optimal solutions. Or if you consider economic dispatch problem, if you find the optimal solution considering the cost minimization, then the resulting solution will give a maximum emission rate. So that is an example for a conflicting objectives. So for such a case, the traditional methods find difficult to locate the optimal solution. So these are some of the shortcomings or drawback with traditional methods. So these traditional methods, that means conventional methods, it requires well-defined objective function and constraints. Then only we can able to apply this traditional method, and also it needs information about the derivatives of the objective function and constraints. That means the objective function and constraint, this should be a continuous function. Then only we can able to take a derivative. These traditional methods strongly depends on well-defined objective function, constraints, as well as its derivative information. And it is not able to locate optimal solution or find optimal solution if the solution surface is not a continuous one, having multiple optimal points. Okay. And also, this traditional methods, it fails to explain. That means if suppose if a minimal solution for objective is to find a minimal point or a minimum optimal point, suppose if a minimum point occurs at a point where the derivative of the objective function does not exist, in the traditional method, it will not able to locate that optimal point. Similarly, suppose if a minimum or maximum solution occurs at the boundaries, again the traditional method fails to locate that global optimal solution. And there is a more chance for getting trapped into local optima, that is called as premature convergence, and also it fails to handle mixed variables. Suppose if our objective is to optimize the location, we have to find the optimal location for placing distributed generator, as well as we have to find the optimal size of a generator. Then we have two nature of variables. Location refers here the variable is integer, whereas the sizing refers where the variable is real. That is called as mixed variable problem. If the traditional methods it finds difficulty to handle those mixed variables. So these are the list of shortcomings that are associated with traditional methods. So to find the solution where the solution surface is not smooth, or suppose we have a multimodal solution, or suppose the nature of variables are mixed, then we need some heuristic technique, that is meta heuristic technique, to find at least near global solution. That is called as soft computing. We need a technique that is called as soft computing technique. So this is the nature of a multimodal function. Here this is a two-dimensional problem. The function f refers, it is an objective function in terms of the variables x1 and x2. Suppose the function is like that. It has this is a solution surface over a value of x1, range of x1 and x2. Suppose if you have a multiple peak value, here there are so many peak values. So this is a true maximum, that is called as global maximum, and all other optimal point they are all called as local maximum. Similarly, within the solution surface, here there is one minimal point, a value point. Here there is also one value point, and here also one minimal point. So many minimals available, and this is actually a global minimal point, and all other minimal points are called as local minimal. This type of characteristic is called as multimodal function. So for this type of function, the traditional method never there is a least probability of locating this global optimal point. Mostly it will converge at the local point. That is called as premature convergence. This is an example of our equation that is called as 2D sphere function. It is a two-dimensional problem where the variables are x1 and x2. Here it is a boundary problem where x1 varies between -2 to +2. That is a constraint. And x2, here the inequality constraint, it varies between -2 to +2. So within the solution region, we have to find the optimal solution, or we have to find the best value of x1 and x2 in order to satisfy this equation. Here, this is a solution within the solution surface. Just we have a glance, there are so many peak values, and similarly there are so many value points. So there is only one global solution, only one global maximum, and all other remaining values they are all called as local maximum. So for such type of this sphere function, this traditional methods it fails difficult to locate the true global solution. Then we need a technique that is a meta heuristic technique. So the meta heuristic technique, there is more chance for getting either global solution or near global solution. So this is a need for a meta heuristic technique to handle a complex problem, whatever may be the solution surface, whether it is a multimodal or discrete, and the solution surface, even if it is not smooth, this meta heuristic optimization technique it tries to find the near global solution, and it is a mathematical model free optimization algorithm. So the conventional technique it requires well-defined mathematical equation, that is a function as well as constraints, and also it depends on the derivative information, whereas it is a mathematical model optimization technique. Even though if it is hard to frame the objective function, still it can able to give solution. If we consider timetable problem, where it is very difficult to formulate the objective function, all all the conditions are formulated only as a constraint. So it is a mathematical optimization. Also, suppose we have a plant where we have the input and output variables alone, set of solutions alone, without having a mathematical interpretation between the input and output variables. In such a case also, this meta-heuristic technique tries to find optimal solution. And also it able to locate global optimal region very quickly, because they are all the parallel computing technique. It is a population based algorithm because it starts with a group of solutions, so it quickly identify the near global region. It able to handle the multi-objective problem, multi-objective simultaneously because of its parallel search techniques. There is a least chance for trapping into local optimal point, whatever may be the limitations. So their mathematical methods are difficult. Wherever the mathematical methods are difficult to implement, then these meta-heuristic techniques it tries to find the solution. So here the main things are one is simplicity, flexibility. It is a derivation-free technique. So it's a very simple concept. Mostly the concept is inspired by the either physical phenomena or the swarm behavior of animals or birds, as well as it based on the evolutionary concepts. That is a natural evolution and survival of fittest. It's based on Darwin's theory. And these are the some of the classification of meta-heuristic optimization techniques. So the meta-heuristic techniques classified as a trajectory-based or population-based. This is a stochastic algorithm. And again, it based on nature-inspired, it is classified into two, evolutionary algorithm and swarm intelligence. Under evolutionary algorithm, this genetic algorithm is a very first algorithm, one of the evolutionary algorithm, and it is developed by Goldberg in the year 1975. And these are the other powerful techniques: clonal search, harmony search, differential evolution. It is one of a powerful technique. Many researchers they apply this differential evolution for solving many engineering problem and find the best solution. And it is proposed by Stone and Price in the year 1995. As far as the swarm intelligence are concerned, there are so many techniques here. Only few techniques are listed. One is ant colony optimization, and here this optimization algorithm is inspired by the way the ant, how they operate in work in colony, live in colony, and find the food source. And next one, particle swarm optimization. This algorithm is proposed by Kennedy and Eberhardt in the year 1995, and this algorithm is developed based on the behavior, how the group of birds, they migrate from one place to faraway place in order to bring their young ones, as well as for searching the food source. So that is these developers, they inspired by the group behavior of birds, how they're tracking their flying strategy, and they proposed this algorithm that is called as particle swarm optimization algorithm. Next one, bacterial foraging, similarly ant bee colony algorithm, and grey wolf optimization algorithm. It is proposed by Mirjalili et al. In the year, it is one of our latest algorithm developed in the year 2014. Here, this algorithm is inspired based on the hunting behavior of grey wolf. And next one, firefly algorithm. Okay. Some of the algorithms, there are so many algorithms available under swarm intelligence. So generally, the soft computing is a broad umbrella where it involves fuzzy logic, neural network, and evolutionary computation. This fuzzy logic is based on the reasoning ability of a human being. So instead of, in case of Boolean algebra, where the output is either 0 or 1. So this fuzzy logic is very powerful to develop a controllers. Whereas in case of, suppose if we can set some value, temperature value. Suppose if a temperature is more than 100 degrees C, it is treated as hot. And we can set a controller when a temperature is less than 100 degrees C, it is considered as a cold. Suppose if the temperature is 99 degrees C, it is very, very closer to 100 degrees C. But if we apply, in case of Boolean logic, it will give the solution as cold. Whereas if we apply a fuzzy logic, here it is a gray logic, where the output is mapping between 0 to 1. So it will classified as warm. Okay, there is a categorized between the 0 to 1. So this logic is very useful to develop a controllers. Next one, neural networks. This network is this algorithm. This concept is developed based. It mimics the behavior of a human brains. How the human brains take a decision making. So here, this neural network is very helpful for classification problem as well as regression problem. Next one, evolutionary computation. This algorithm is purely based on Charles Darwin's principles of biological evolution and survival of fittest. So this Goldberg, he first developed the algorithm called as genetic algorithm, inspired by this Charles Darwin's principle. And so the terminologies involved in genetic algorithm, yeah, population, called as population, then recombination or crossover, and offsprings, then selection, then replacement. So in any evolutionary algorithms, these are the basic steps involved. First, you have to, in a traditional methods, in the previous slide, we have seen about the Jacobian method. Using Jacobian method, how to solve a set of equations, where we can assume one set of solution, that is the initial guess, and then at every iteration, we can identify a new solution. Whereas here, it is a population-based stochastic search method. Here we can start with group of solution. So it is called as population, and all the solutions are randomly initialized within a given limit. So it is called as stochastic. So the very first step is, first you have to create a parent solution. That means a group, we can generate a group of solutions randomly, and we have to fix the population size, whether the population size is 20 or 30. That means we can start with 20 sets of initial solutions. So second step is, after initializing the solution, that the solution means assume a previous equation where we have considered a set of equations with the variables x, y, z. So if we randomly initialize x, y, z, 20 sets of x, y, z, then it is called as population. Then substituting each set of solution x, y, z in the objective function, then that is called as fitness. So for population size is 20 means we have 20 sets of objective function, that is called as fitness function. And then we have to perform a reproduction, that is a crossover operation. So at the end of reproduction, we have same population size solution. Suppose if a population size is 20, then we have another 20 sets of solutions. That is called as offspring or child solution. Then we have to apply some selections mechanism. Then we have to create another new population of same population size. That is example 20. Then we have to this new population can be treated as parent for the next iteration. So within one iteration, we have, suppose our population size is 20, we can start with 20 sets of solution as parent. Then we have another 20 sets of offspring. Then we have another, then from the parent and offspring, we can create a new set of population solutions. So that is called as, it is a parallel search technique or population-based algorithm. Because of this population-based algorithm, it has more chance to locate global solution or near global solution. Because it within one iteration, it can able to search the solution space widely when compared with the conventional method. So this is one iteration. We can start from parent, then reproduction, then selection, then replacement. This is one iteration. We can repeat this process up to n number of iterations. Maybe the iteration may be 100. So at the end of 100th iteration, we have 20 sets of solutions. So among the 20 set of solutions, select the best one, that is called as a global solution. Actually, this is one objective function. The equation, it is a second order equation, or this is a spherical equation, sphere equation, x squared plus y squared. So here we have to solve the equation and find the best solution. So first you have to identify the variables. Here the number of variables equal to 2. Suppose here the population size is 6. So we can randomly generate x and y. Okay, the population size is taken as 6. So we have set of 6 solutions. So this is called as initialization. We can initialize the solution, that is a population. So this set of solutions are called as parent. after creating the parent solution, then we have to substitute this variable in the objective function or the equation, then we get the objective function value. Now this is called as fitness. So if the population size is 6, then we have 6 set of solutions. So this is called as a parent and this one is a corresponding fitness. Then we have to apply recombination, then we have another 6 set of solutions. Then we have to apply selection and then finally replacement. So this is called as population based algorithm. Okay. I think now you can clear with what is fitness. Fitness is nothing but the function value that will decide whether the solution, particular solution is fittest or not. So it is called as fitness function. Now we can move on to differential evolution. So in this presentation, we'll look in detail only about the differential evolution as well as Gray-Wolf optimization algorithm. So differential evolution, it is a stochastic. Stochastic means we can randomly initialize all the initial population. So it is a stochastic and it is a population based optimization algorithm. Population means we can start with group of solutions. And this differential evolution is very effective for solving nonlinear optimization problem. And it is developed in the year 1995 by the developers Stone and Price. These are the major steps involved in differential evolution. First one is the initial population. Here we have to first perform mutation and then we have to perform recombination, that is crossover. And finally we have to perform selection. So this is a sequence of steps involved in differential evolution. First initialization of parent, then mutation, then recombination or crossover, and then selection. And then we have to check whether we can terminate the iteration by checking the stopping criteria. If the condition is met, then we can print the optimal solution. Otherwise, at the end of selection, we have a group of solutions. That solution will take as a parent for the next generation. And once again, we have to perform mutation combination. So in case of genetic algorithm, first you have to perform the recombination, then we can perform mutation. Whereas in case of differential evolution, first you can perform mutation and then we move on to recombination or crossover. So for step number 1, first we have objective function. So first you have to identify the variables. What are the variables? Then we have to suppose take example. Here objective is minimize a function. It is a 2-dimensional problem, x squared plus y squared. So here the variables are x and y. So first you have to identify the variables and then we have to randomly generate the value x and y within a limit. That is a step number 1. So step number 1 is initialization. Suppose if the boundary is given, here the objective function is minimization of a function where the function is governed by the mathematical equation x squared plus y squared and x. The boundary for x is between -2 to +2 and the boundary for y is -4 to +4. So this is an inequality constraint. So within this range, we have to find an optimal value of x and y in such a way that this objective function will be minimum. So step number 1, first you have to initialize, randomly generate a parent population. So first you have to fix the population size. Suppose the population size is 20, then we can randomly generate x and y within the limit up to 20 sets of solutions. So that is in the conventional method, suppose our objective is to find the maximum point, then in the conventional method, we can randomly initialize one set of solutions, one set of x and y, then we can move on searching and finally we can terminate after certain iteration. So in a traditional method, there is more probability of trapping into the local minima. These are all the local minimal point and there is only one global minimal. So in a conventional method, since we can start with a single solution, there is more probability of trapping into local optimal point. The optimal point may be minimum or maximum, it depends on the objective function. Whereas in case of soft computing techniques, we can start with a group of solution. So it will be able to search in the entire search space in an effective manner. So there's a more probability of getting global optimal point. So step number 1 is initialization. Step number 2, mutation. This mutation is very, very important operator as far as the differential evolution is concerned. This mutation, it expands the search space. So in any soft computing technique, evolutionary algorithm or nature-inspired algorithm, there must be a balance between exploration and exploitation. So here the mutation helps to expand the search space, and this mutation operator is it will transfer new information into the solution. So the mutation operator is responsible for transferring the new information to the solution. So here in differential evolution or genetic algorithm, we can use the term generation, whereas for other nature-inspired algorithm, maybe particle swarm or grey wolf, where we can use the term iteration. So here for every generation, we have to perform a mutation. For that, we have to randomly choose 3 vectors, 3 non-repeated vectors, and then find the difference between the 2 vectors. And then we have to find the weighted difference vector, that is by multiplying with factor f, and then we can add this weighted difference vector to the 3rd randomly chosen vector, then we get to one solution. That is called as mutation vector or donor vector. Suppose if a population size is 20, means we have 20 sets of solution. We have to randomly chosen 3 non-repeated vectors. It may be 1, 5, 7. Then take the second vector and 3rd vector, find the difference, then multiply by this mutation constant f. Then we get a weighted difference vector. Then multiply with, add with the first randomly chosen vector. Then we get a resultant vector, that is called as mutation. We have to perform this operation up to population size. Suppose the population size is 20, we have to perform this operation up to 20 times. So at the end of this mutation, we have 20 sets of new solutions. They are called as donor vector or mutant vector. And here we can perform the difference, and so the algorithm is called as differential algorithm. And this f is called as mutation constant. It varies between 0 to 2. So this mutation operation can be graphically represented here. Here it's a 2-dimensional problem. Our objective function involves 2 variables. One is x1 and x2, and the value of x1 lies between -10 to +10, and the value of x2 lies between -10 to +10. So within this boundary, we have to find an optimal solution. So in case of mutation operation, we have to randomly chosen 3 vectors. Suppose this is a vector 1, this is vector 1, and this is vector 2, and this is a vector 3. So vector 1, here the solution is the x1, its value is -8, and x2, it is approximately 5. So -8, 5 is one of a solution. From the, we have to choose that vector from the parent. Similarly, we have to choose another vector. Here the x1 value is nearly 1, and x2 value is around -8. So randomly select 3 vectors randomly, then find the difference between the 2 vectors. This one is xr2 minus xr3. Then we have to multiply this by mutation constant f. It is called as weighted difference vector. Then add this weighted difference vector to the 3rd vector. Here this is a 3rd vector. This is a weighted difference vector. And then we get a solution. This is v1. v1 is a mutation vector. And the corresponding value of v1 is here -4 and then 0. So here we can perform mutation for the first individual. Similarly, we have to repeat this process up to population size. Suppose the population size is 20, we have to repeat this operation 20 times. Then the 3rd step in differential evolution is recombination or crossover. So this recombination operator, it incorporates successful solutions from the previous generation. So this recombination operation is essential to maintain the diversity in the population. So this diversity means it's the ability to search in a global way. It is exploration. So this recombination helps to explore the solution space. Thereby, it prevents the local minimal convergence. So using this recombination or crossover operator, we have a solution vectors, group of solutions. They are called as trial vectors or the offspring. this trial vector is nothing but it is a combination of mutant vector and parent vector. So we have to apply competition between the mutation vector and parent vector, and then we have to choose a vectors either from mutation or from parent. They are called as crossover operator, and the solution is called as trial vectors. Under crossover, there are two types. One is a binomial crossover and exponential crossover. So mostly we can use a binomial crossover for our algorithm. In binomial crossover, here the x refers a parent solution. Initially, randomly we can initialize the parent, that is x vector, and this v refers it is a vectors obtained after performing mutation. So v refers mutation vector. So here in binomial crossover, we can fix one crossover constant, that is CR equal to its values lies between 0 to 1. Suppose the crossover constant is 0.8, assume it is 0.8. Then assume our population size is 20. Then randomly generate one number between 0 to 1, and we have checked whether the condition is satisfied. If the random number is less than crossover constant, then we can select the mutation vector, mutant vector. If the condition is not satisfied, then we can select the parent vector. So we have to check this condition whether the random number is less than crossover constant. If the condition is satisfied, select the mutation vector, otherwise parent vector. So this is called as binomial crossover. So in binomial crossover, at the end of binomial crossover, we have 20 solution vectors. They are called as trial vectors. And those vectors is a combination of either from mutation vector or from the parent vector. And another crossover that is called as exponential crossover. In case of exponential crossover, we can randomly generate one integer number between 1 to, so within our population size, suppose the population size is 10, between 1 to 10, select one random number A, and then we have to select another random number B, and this random number is also integer value. Its value is between 1, D minus A. Suppose our D value is 10, and this value of A is taken as 4, then 1, 10 minus 4. Between 1 to 6, select another integer value. Then we can perform the crossover operation. Here in this operation, in exponential crossover operation, from A to A plus B, suppose A equal to 4 and this B equal to 1 minus 10, 4, 6. So between this A to A plus B, we can select all the parent. For remaining cases from 1 to A minus 1 and then from A plus B plus 1 to D, we can select all the mutation vector. So this way of choosing the vectors either from parent or mutation using this set of conditions, that is called as exponential crossover. So first we have to perform initialization, that is a parent, then we have to perform mutation, then crossover, finally we have to make a selection operation. Here in selection, we have to make a competition between parent as well as offspring. In genetic algorithm, so at the end of crossover, whatever the solutions we have, that will be treated as a parent for the next generation. Whereas in case of differential evolution, we can make a competition between first parent and first child, then the fittest one is selected as a parent for the next iteration. This is a major difference between differential evolution and genetic algorithm. So the selection is a last operation. So in initialization, we can randomly select a parent, that is called as a target vector. Then we can perform mutation and we get a mutant vector. Then we can perform recombination or crossover. We get a trial vector. Finally, we have to perform selection. The selection means here we can make a competition between the parent as well as the child. So the best vector, whether parent or the offspring, is selected as a parent for the next generation. So these are the major steps involved in differential evolution. Now let us see one example how to apply this differential evolution to one particular function. So finally, this is a competition. So we can make a competition between parent and child, and the fittest one will survive as a parent for the next iteration. And then stopping rule. Here, usually the stopping rule is we can proceed this process up to n number of iterations. Maybe the iteration maybe 200. Or another stopping condition is when there is no change in the objective function, it is a fitness function for a particular number of generation, then we can terminate the process. Otherwise, we have to repeat the process. That is a mutation, then recombination, then selection. That is a competition. So finally, initially we can explore, and finally we have to exploit, so that the solution will converge and we can be able to locate the global optimal point. Here the objective is to find the global maximum. So we have to find, we can be able to locate that optimal point. So now consider one function. Here our objective is we have to minimize this function. This function is called as con function. That is, here the objective function is x1 minus 5 whole squared plus x2 minus 2 whole squared. Here our objective is we have to find the optimal value of x1 and x2 in such a way that this function will be minimum. It is called as this is a con function. Now let us see how to apply this population, that is a parent, how to initialize the parent, then mutation, then crossover, then selection. Here the number of decision variables is x1 and x2, and then this is a fitness function. The fitness function is x1 minus 5 whole squared plus x2 minus 2 whole squared. This is a fitness function. So step number 1, first you have to initialize the parent vectors randomly. So here our solution, our variable, decision variable is x1 and x2, and this is here the boundary for x1 and x2 is not given, so it is a unconstrained problem. So the value of x1 may be between minus infinity to plus infinity, and here also there is no boundary for x2, so we can take any value of x2. So step number 1, first you have to generate a parent vector. So we have to randomly choose the vector x1 and x2. So this is one individual. So this is individual 1. This is one solution set. Similarly, here you can fix the population size as 12. So we have 12 sets of solutions, 12 sets of individuals. They are collectively called as parent. This is step number 1. First, you have to initialize the parent vectors randomly. Here our variables are x1 and x2. Randomly choose x1 and x2. If limit is specified, within the limit you have to generate x1 and x2. Otherwise, we can take any value of x1 and x2. So this solution set is called as individual. Okay. After initializing the parent, next step we have to find the fitness value. So just substitute this x1 and x2 in the objective function. This is our objective function. Then we get the fitness value. So this is a fitness function, that is f of x. Simply substitute this 6.1686 for x1 and 4.41 for x2. So we get a fitness value. So at the end of this step number 1, we have 20 sets of solution. Here the population size is 12. So we have 12 sets of solutions. Step number 2, we have to perform mutation. So in mutation operation, first let us see the binomial mutation. So in binomial this mutation, here in mutation process, actually we have to perform vector difference. So for that we have to randomly choose 3 vectors. So these numbers are randomly chosen. These are all the integer number. So between, here the population size is 12. So between 1 to 12, we can randomly select 3 vectors. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So actually it is not a continuous one. We have to randomly choose non-repeated vectors. Then we have to find the vector difference. So first consider the vector 2 and vector 3. So this is vector 2. So this is a vector 2. This is vector 2. This one is vector 3. So find the difference between vector 2 and 3. 6.2104 minus 7.4231 and 4.0935 minus 8.388. That is a vector difference. Then we get this value. Then we have to take 5 and 6. So we have to find 5th vector and 6th vector, find the difference. So we have to repeat this process up to population size. So first we have to find the vector difference, Then we have to find the weighted vector difference by multiplying this vector difference by one factor, that is f, mutation constant. And finally, we have to add this vector difference to the third vector. This one refers first individual. Then we have to add this vector difference to the first chosen vector. Then we get a mutation vector. Similarly, if we consider this, we have to find the vector difference between 5th and 6th. Find, and then we have to multiply by f. Then add with 4th vector. So this is a 4th vector. Similarly, if we consider this 3, 6, 9, find the vector difference between 6th and 9th individual. So this is a 6th one, this is a 9th one. Find the difference. This is a difference value. Then we have to multiply this by the constant, that is f. The value of f is between 0 to 1, and then add this value to the third vector. Okay, this is a third vector. So here we can perform the weighted difference. Here the value of f is taken as 0.8. Its value is between 0 to 1, so we can take it as 0.8. Then we get x1 and x2. This is called as weighted vector difference of individual 1, 2, up to 12. 12 is a population size. Then we have to consider the third vector. Then add with third vector. Then we get a new solution, 5.1844 and 0.9744. So this is a mutation vector, or called as donor vector. So we have to perform this up to population size. So at the end of mutation operation, we have 12 sets of mutation vector. So next one, we have to perform the crossover. And here the crossover, there are two types. One is a binomial crossover and another one exponential crossover. So in binomial crossover, just we're going to check the condition whenever whether the random number is less than crossover constant or not. Here first you have to fix one crossover constant and its value is between 0 to 1. So here the value is taken as crossover constant as 0.5. First randomly generate a number between 0 to 1. Here our population size is 12. So we have to select 12, randomly generate 12 numbers between 0 to 1. Then we can check the condition whether the random number is less than crossover constant. If the random number is less than crossover, then we have to select the mutation vector. Otherwise, we have to select the parent vector. So for the first individual, if the random number is 0.12, it is less than 0.5. So it satisfies the condition. So we have to select the first vector from the mutation. Then we have to select this first vector. Suppose if the condition is not satisfied, then we have to select the corresponding parent. In the condition of the first case, its value is less than 0.5, so we have to select the mutation vector. In the second case also, it is less than the crossover constant, so we have to select the mutation vector. In the third case also, the condition is satisfied, so for the third individual also, we have to select from the mutation. Whereas in the fourth case, the random number is greater than 0.5, so we have to select the fourth parent. So we have to repeat this process up to the population size. So in the first case, we can select the mutation. In the second case also, we can select from the mutation, that is a mutant vector. For third also, we can select from the mutant vector. In the fourth case, you can select the parent vector. Similarly, in the sixth case also, this random value is greater than 0.5, so we can select the sixth individual from the parent. So we can repeat this operation up to population size. So at the end, this is a crossover operation. So after performing this crossover operation, then now we have to find the fitness value. Substitute this x1 and x2 in the objective function, then we get a value that is called as fitness value. So this 1.089 is a fitness value, substituting this x1 and x2. Similarly, for the second individual, substitute this in the objective function, where the objective function is x1 minus 5 whole square plus x2 minus 2 whole square. So substitute this, we get second fitness value. So repeat this operation up to population size. So we have 12 sets of fitness value. So at the end of crossover, we have new sets of solutions, another 12 sets of solutions. Then we have to perform selection. So now we are going to apply the selection, that is a competition. Here in differential evolution, the competition is between parent and the child. So here we are going to compare the fitness value of a parent as well as the fitness value of the crossover. Here the fitness value of the first individual is 7.1739. The fitness of the crossover is 1.089. So just compare the two. Our objective function is a minimization. So take the minimum fitness. So this is a fitness, minimum fitness. So select the corresponding individual from the crossover. In the second case also, we can compare the parent and the crossover. Here the crossover is seems to be best when compared with parent. So select the second individual from the crossover. So for the first 6 individuals, the crossover vector seems to be fittest when compared with the corresponding parent. So we can select all these 6 individuals from the crossover. Whereas in the case of 7th one, here again they are almost equal. In the 8th one, the parent fitness is comparatively less when compared with offspring. So we have to select the 8th parent, individual of the 8th individual from the parent. Similarly, in the 11th case also, the fitness of parent is less than the fitness of offspring. So we can select the 11th individual from the parent. For all other cases, we can select the individuals from the crossover. So this is in completion of one iteration. So within one iteration, suppose our population size is 12, we have 12 parent vectors, randomly chosen 12 parent vectors. Then after performing mutation, we have another 12 solution vectors. After performing crossover, we have 12. So within one iteration, we have almost 36 solution vectors. Now, so this is the power of the soft computing technique. Whereas in case of conventional technique, we can randomly choose only one vector, x1 and x2. So at the end of iteration 1, we have another x1 and x2. So within one iteration, we have only 2 values of x1 and x2. Whereas here, within one iteration, if a population size is 12, we get 36. If a population size is 20, we have 60 sets of solutions. So here there is more chance for getting near global solution. Now at the end of this iteration, we have performed one generation. Now this complete sets of x1 and x2. After selection, this x1 and x2 will be treated as a parent for the next iteration. So now consider this as a parent. Once again, we have to perform mutation, crossover, selection, and then we have to apply. We have another 12 best solution. Those 12 will be treated as a parent for the next iteration. So this process continues until we can reach the maximum iteration. Here in the crossover also, in the previous one, we can just compare one random number with a crossover constant. Whenever the random number is less than crossover, we can select the complete individual from the mutant, or from the parent. In another way, we can check the condition whether for x1 alone, for the variable x1 alone, we can randomly generate 12 random number, and then we can check the condition. If the condition is satisfied, select the particular x1 from the mutant, or we can select the particular x1 from the parent. Similarly, for x2, for the second variable also, we can randomly generate random number between 0 to 1, and then we can check whether the random number is less than crossover constant. If the condition is satisfied, select the corresponding x2 value from the mutation, otherwise from the parent. So this is another way of modifying the crossover. So instead of selecting the complete individual, here we can make a comparison, and we can select for x1 alone, we can make a comparison, and then we can make a decision whether we have to take from the mutation or from the parent. Similarly, for another variable x2, suppose we have 3 number of variables, then for x3 also we have to perform this operation. So at the end of this, we have x1 and x2. Then we can find the fitness, and next step, that is a competition, that is selection, will be the same. So this is another way. In the crossover, for each individual, for each variable, we can make this comparison, and then we can create a crossover. Then we can find the fitness of the crossover and fitness of the parent. Then as usual, we can make a competition between parent and child. If the objective function is maximization, you have to take the maximum value. If the objective is minimization, we can consider the minimum fitness. If the fitness is corresponds to crossover, take the individual from the crossover. Otherwise, you have to take from the parent. And the second crossover operation, it is called as exponential type. In exponential crossover, we have to randomly generate one random number between 1 comma population size. Here in this problem, we can take the population size is 12. So between 1 to 12, randomly generate one integer. Suppose a equal to 5. Then we have to choose another integer b randomly between 1 comma population size minus a. Here the population size is 12. So 12 minus 5, 7. So between 1 and 7, generate one random number. Suppose it is 4. Then we have to select from a to a plus b. Here a is 5, a plus b is 5 plus 4, 9. So from 5 to 9, we can copy all the individuals from the parent vector. For remaining from 1 to this a minus 1, and then from a plus b plus 1 to population size, we can copy all the vectors individuals from the mutant. So this type of crossover is called as exponential crossover. And after that, once we have x1 and x2, then substitute this x1 and x2 in the objective function, that is a fitness function. And then we have 12 sets of fitness function. Okay. After that, we have to perform the selection. That is, we have to make a comparison between competition. We can make competition between parent and child based on the fitness value. Okay. So these are the steps involved in differential evolution. Step number 1, first one is the initial parent population creation. Then you have to perform mutation. Then we can apply crossover. There are two types. One is a binomial and exponential. And finally, selection. These are the major steps involved in differential evolution. And these are the strategies involved in differential evolution. One is a D rand 1 comma beta, where D refers differential evolution, rand refers random number, beta refers binomial crossover, and 1 refers vector difference. So here this 1 denotes mutation. So here we can perform 1 vector difference, then we can multiply by f, we get a weighted vector difference, then add this weighted vector difference with the third randomly chosen vector, then we get a mutation vector. So that this 1 refers this 1 vector difference, beta refers binomial crossover. Here in this strategy, all these 3 vectors are randomly chosen, non-repeated vectors. In the second strategy, here we can use the term best. Here we can perform 1 vector difference. So we can randomly generate 2 vectors, non-repeated vectors, find the vector difference, multiply by f, and then add this weighted vector difference with the best individual. Here the term best means, suppose we have 12 number of parent vectors, then we have 12 fitness value. From out of 12, we have to identify the minimum fitness and take the corresponding individual. That is called as x best. So here the G refers generation. So instead of adding the vector difference, weighted vector difference to the third randomly chosen vector, here we can add the vector difference with the best vector. It is a D best 1 beta. Then in case of D rand 2 beta, here the 2 refers to vector difference. So we have to perform 2 vector difference, maybe XR1 minus XR3, another one XR2 minus XR4. And then we have to add this vector difference to the third randomly chosen vector, that is XR4. So in this strategy, we have to randomly chosen 5 vectors. And then we have to perform this vector difference, add this weighted vector difference to the 5th randomly chosen vector, then we get a mutant vector. Here it's another strategy. We can perform 2 vector difference and then add with the best one. Another one rand to best. Here we can randomly chosen these vectors. Here we can perform 1 vector difference with the help of randomly chosen vectors and perform another vector difference between the best and randomly chosen vector. So these are the various strategies involved in differential evolution. There's so many 175 benchmark problems, challenging problems where we have to find the optimal solution. So whenever we can develop any new algorithm, then we have to apply this technique. We have to apply the algorithms to these benchmark problems, and already the IEEE they gave the optimal solution. So if your algorithm able to identify all the optimal solutions correctly, then that algorithm will be considered as a global one. So this is some of the benchmark problems listed here. And next one, constraint handling. So whenever we have inequality constraints, and every time we have to check whether the constraint, whether suppose the previous problem we have two variables x1 and x2. So every time you have to check whether x1 and x2 lies within a limit. If it violates a limit, then the particular solution is not feasible. So in such a case, we have to have need some mechanism for constraint violation. So first you have to find the amount of constraint violation, take absolute value of constraint violation, and then we have to multiply, because actually whenever the solution violates a limit, then that solution is not feasible. So we have to penalize that solution by multiplying with one high penalty factor and then add with the corresponding fitness value. This is one of way of handling the constraint violation. Here it's a simple method, but the drawback is we have to properly chosen this value of x. So the incorrect selection, there is a possibility of getting the infeasible solution as the optimal solution. So this is a drawback with this penalty method. So next powerful method, that method is proposed by Kalyanmai Deb, the year 2000. So according to this mechanism, whenever the decision variable lies within a limit or if all the constraints are satisfied, that solution is taken as a feasible. Otherwise, we have to add this amount of constraint violation to the maximum fitness value, and then this is taken as a fitness. So this is a very efficient one. Whenever you can apply any soft computing technique, suppose we have a population size is 20 and maximum iteration is 200. At the end of 200th iteration, we have one best solution that is taken as a global solution. But in practical application, that is called a single run. Single run means we can perform the entire operation up to the specified maximum iteration. But in practical cases, we have to perform this operation up to some 15 to 20 individual runs. We have to repeat this process up to 20 times. At the end of 20th, then we have to compare the best fitness value with every individual run. Each run corresponds to maximum iteration. Suppose the maximum iteration is 200. So when the 200 iteration is completed means it completes one run. So we have to repeat this up to 20 individual run. Then based on the maximum fitness value, minimum fitness value and average value, the statistical measure is very, very essential to validate the algorithm, whether the algorithm can able to identify the global solution in every individual run. So the conclusion B is the ability to adapt to non-linearities and discontinuities. This is a very common thing in optimization. It's an alternative tool for solving combinatorial problem. It is the power of a D is it has a parallel search technique. So it able to locate global solution, whatever may be the number of peaks and valleys in the solution surface. So it's a high performance one. So next we move on to Gray-Wolf optimization. It is also a swarm intelligence technique. It is the latest developed one, the year 2014, and these are the developers, Mirjalili et al. And this algorithm is a nature-inspired algorithm. This algorithm is developed. It mimics here within the gray wolves there is a leadership hierarchy, and this algorithm mimics the leadership hierarchy followed by the gray wolves. And this algorithm is well known because of its group hunting. Here there is no selection mechanism, crossover, etc. Here there will be suppose the previous case we can take a population size is 12. Here the 12 refers it's a pack of wolves. So each wolf is a candidate solution. that is in the previous problem, we can consider the solution vector comprises x1 and x2. So this is considered as a one wolf. Similarly, if population size is 12 means we have 12 sets of solution vectors. They are treated as a 12 grey wolves. So now let us see some brief about the grey wolves. Belongs to Canidae family. It always lives in a group or a pack. In every pack there will be 12 number of wolves. They follow a strict leadership. There is a leadership hierarchy. That means it follows a strict social dominant hierarchy. So among the, suppose if within a pack there are 12 wolves, so the leader one is called as alpha, the second one, the hierarchy is considered as a beta, and third one as per the hierarchy that is called as delta, and all other remaining wolves they are called as omega. Okay. So this is a hierarchy followed in the grey wolves. The leader one is called as alpha. It may be a male wolf or a female one. It will lead the remaining wolves in the hunting, and this will take a decision. So the decision making is decided by this alpha wolf. Next one in the hierarchy, that is a beta. This beta is the second one. It helps to take a decision making of the alpha wolf, and it acts as a discipliner in the group. The third one in the group is called as delta. So the third wolf in the hierarchy is called as delta. It also assists the both alpha wolf and beta wolf. It also helps to take some decision making, and it acts as a caretaker. And all other remaining wolves they are called as omega wolf. This is a hierarchy followed by the grey wolf. These omega wolves they simply follow the instructions given by these three dominant wolves: alpha wolf, beta wolf, and delta wolf. So the attractive features of grey wolf algorithm, one is a social hierarchy, next one pack hunting. So first you have to, in the grey wolf algorithm, the mathematical model has been developed to mimic this hunting technique as well as social hierarchy, and this seems to be a very powerful algorithm for many optimization problems because of its leadership characteristics. This is a one and only algorithm where there is a leader that will take care of entire control and helps to find the global solution. Whereas in case of PSO algorithm, we have considered a group of birds, but all the birds they share the information. What are the best location they have visited, and also they share the information. The group they all track, and finally they search the food source. But where in PSO there is no leader to control, whereas in grey wolf algorithm there is a leader that will lead the hunting mechanism. And in GWO, in grey wolf algorithm, only few parameters to be tuned. In case of differential evolution, we have only two constants. One is a crossover constant, another one is F. So, whereas here also only few variables to be tuned, and it is very easy to implement and very powerful. So many the researchers, the developers, they apply this grey wolf optimization algorithm to the standard test benchmark problems, and they found that this algorithm is very superior and has excellent exploration and exploitation capabilities. So in any soft computing techniques, there must be a proper balance between exploration and exploitation. Exploration enables global search, and exploitation helps to narrow down the search after a certain iteration. So this balance must be important. Otherwise, if there is an imbalance between these two characteristics, then it will lead to trap into the local optimum. So this is a hierarchy followed in grey wolves. The leader one is designated as alpha, then it will take a decision maker. Then the next one in the hierarchy is beta, then delta. All other remaining wolves, they are all called as a omega wolf. So the hunting mechanism followed by this grey wolf, it is divided into three. So in the first one is so in the searching and hunting process, whenever a prey is found, then these wolves they track, then chase, then approach. So whenever the prey runs, then the grey wolves pursue, then encircle and then harass until the prey stops moving. Finally, the wolves start attacking. These are the mechanism or the hunting strategies followed by the grey wolves. First, they track, chase, and approach. When they identify the prey, and when the prey is moving, they encircle and harass and make the prey to stop and finally attack. So the main segments are encircling, hunting, and attacking. Now we can apply these strategies. We have to develop a suitable mathematical model to exhibit this encircling characteristic and then hunting mechanism to identify the optimal global optimal solution for our optimization problem. So these are the, this one is a prey and these are all the wolves. So here the wolf, here there is a wolf very closer to prey, that is called as treated as a alpha wolf. The next one, this one is very closer to prey, it is treated as next one beta, and this one is considered as a delta, and all other remaining wolves they are called as omega. So once it identified, then they track and chase, and once the prey start moving, then it harass and encircle to make the prey stand still, and finally it will start attacking. These are the mechanism. Now we are going to mimic this mechanism in our optimization problem. That algorithm is called as grey wolf optimization algorithm. In our optimization problem, this prey is a global solution, and the wolf which is very closer to prey, that is called as alpha wolf. In our case, the fitness function, suppose our objective is minimization. So suppose our population size is 12. Out of 12, we have one minimum value, minimum best fitness value, that is considered as alpha. The next second fitness is considered as a omega. The third best fitness is considered as a del. All other remaining are considered as a omega. So first you have to make a model to exhibit this encircling behavior of a grey wolf. So first you have to find, for encircling, first you have to find the distance between the prey as well as the wolf. So we have to find the distance. Since we don't know exactly where the prey is, so we have to take some random, C is a randomly chosen, some constant, this coefficient is a very important one, and C is nothing but 2 into R, where R is a random number. So this is a way of finding the distance between the prey as well as the wolf. Then based on the information obtained from the encircling, next you have to perform a hunting. The hunting means moving closer towards prey. So here X of t refers a position of a wolf at tth iteration. Then for the next iteration, the wolf changes its position, and its position occupied by this wolf, that is a new position occupied by the wolf, is based on this. It's based on the distance between the prey as well as this A into D, where D is a distance. We have seen the previous equation. We have to multiply with this A. So this is a step size. We can update the position. We can add the step size to the position of the prey in order to find the new position to be occupied by the wolf. Where this A equal to 2A into R2 minus A. Again, R2 is a random number between 0 to 1, and A is a coefficient or constant. It's linearly decreased from usually from 2 to 0. Initially, the start of iteration, the value of A is 2. Then the value of A is gradually decreases. Once the maximum iteration is reached, it becomes 0. So whenever the value of A changes, this A also changes. So this A decides whether to explore or exploit. Whenever the absolute value of A is greater than 1, it will explore the search space. Whenever this value is less than 1, then it starts exploiting. So generally we have 12 wolves, and this one is corresponds to the prey, and this one is very closer to this prey is taken as alpha, and this one is considered as a beta, and this one is a omega. This is the position of this alpha, then beta, and this is a del, and this is a omega. Other wolves. Now we have to update the position of this wolf based on the distance between the prey as well as the wolf. in actual hunting mechanism, usually the alpha wolf is involved in hunting. But in our optimization problem, since our prey, we don't know exactly where the prey is, so we can, to update the position of the wolf, we can consider all the three best positions occupied by the alpha wolf, beta wolf, and delta wolf. Based on the position of this, here in the optimization problem, we can consider this alpha as a prey because we don't know exactly where the prey is, whereas the alpha is a best fitness one, which is very closer to prey. So we can consider this as a prey, and similarly, we can treat beta as also a prey and this del as a prey. Based on those positions, we can find the movement of this gray wolf to the next iteration. So in our optimization problem, we can consider both alpha, beta, and delta as a position of a prey. Then we are going to find the distance between this prey and the position of a omega wolf. Then we can, this is step size, and then add the step size to the original actual, then we get a new value of x1. So in our optimization algorithm, we can take the position of a wolf, omega wolf for the next iteration based on the average position of x1, x2, and x3. So we have only two set of equations. One, we have to find the distance. Next one, we have to find the updation x1, x2, x3, then find the average. This will give a new position of the gray wolf. Now again, let us consider the same example. Consider conv function where objective is to minimize the function involving two variables x1 and x2. The objective function is x1 minus 5 whole square plus x2 minus 2 whole square. Here the variables are x1 and x2. So the individual, that is x1 and x2, it corresponds to one wolf. So first here to initialize the population size. Here that is called as pack in gray wolf optimization algorithm. So here we can first initialize the gray wolf as 12. We can consider 12 set of wolves. Each wolf is considered as one individual. That is one solution vector x1 and x2. So randomly we have to select x1 and x2. If the limit is specified, within the limit we have to select x1 and x2. Otherwise we can randomly select x1 and x2. So we have 12 sets of wolves. Next step, we have to find the fitness value. Substitute this x1 and x2 in the objective function, then we get a fitness value. So repeat this process up to 12 times. So we have 12 fitness values. So next, we have to find our objective is minimization. So out of 12, identify the minimum fitness value. So this is a minimum fitness value, and this is a corresponding solution vector. So this 10th one is considered as a alpha wolf. So taken as alpha wolf. So the second best fitness, minimum fitness is 2.2637 because our objective is minimization. So out of the 12, the second minimum fitness is 2.2637. So this 11th position, this wolf is taken as a beta, and the third best fitness out of the 12, the third minimum fitness is 2.9751. So this one is considered as a delta wolf. So all the remaining wolves, they are considered as a omega wolf. So first you have to identify alpha wolf, beta wolf, and delta wolf. These are the corresponding solution vectors and the respective fitness value. Next we have to find the distance, and then we have to update the position of all the wolves. So this is the position of the wolf 1. Now we have to find the distance between alpha wolf and this x1, this first one, and the beta and the first one, and the delta between delta and the first one. And then we have to find x1, x2, x3, then find the average. That is a new position occupied by the first wolf. And then we have to repeat this process up to 12 times. So this is a basic equation. First you have to compute the distance, then we have to find updation x1. So this is a formula for D. D equal to C into x alpha minus x. So this is x alpha. That is a solution vector corresponds to alpha wolf, and this is a first wolf position x, where C is nothing but 2 into random number. Next one, x1 equal to x alpha minus a1 into the distance. where A1 equal to the formula for A1 equal to 2A random number minus A. This is a formula for this A, where A is a value linearly decreasing from 2 to 0. So initially its value is 2. Once the iteration progress, it gradually linearly decreasing 1. Random is a random number between 0 to 1, and D alpha refers this distance. And this X alpha, this is our best fitness already we have found, that is X alpha. Similarly, we have to find distance between beta wolf and the first wolf, that is D beta, and then we have to find X2. X2 is a difference between the beta wolf minus A into the distance. Then we have to consider delta wolf also, find the distance between the delta wolf and the first wolf, then find the new X3. After finding this, you have to compute the average of X1, X2, X3. So finally, this is a position occupied by the first wolf. Initially, the position of the first wolf is at 6.1686 and 4.41 in the solution space. Then it changes its position for hunting and moves to 4.0487, 2.6057. And we have to repeat this operation up to 12 times because our number of wolves in our pack is 12. And this A is a linearly decreasing one. Suppose the maximum iteration is 100, then in the first iteration, the end of first iteration, initially its value is 2. At the end of first iteration, its value update to 2 minus 2 into 1 by 100. Then for the next iteration, its value changes to 2 minus 2 into 2 by 100. Suppose the maximum iteration is 3, then at the end of first iteration, the value of A becomes 2 minus 2 into 1 by 3. It is 1.333. So at the end of first iteration, this is a value of X1. So we have to repeat this operation up to 12 times because we have 12 number of wolves. So finally we have each wolf, they update their position. Now once again find the fitness. Substitute this X1 and X2 in the objective function, we get f of x. Now we can find what's the minimum value out of this. The minimum value, this is a minimum fitness value, and the second minimum value is this 1.0754, and the third minimum value is not 1. Sensor is not correct. Somewhere between this. So identify the minimum fitness value. Then this is taken as alpha. The second minimum fitness is taken as beta, and the third fitness value is not 1.34. Here also there is a minimum value 1.57. So this is a third fitness value. This is taken as a delta wolf. All other remaining wolves are called as omega. Once again, you have to find the distance between the alpha wolf and the first one, and then we have to find X1, then find the distance between beta wolf and the first wolf, then calculate one new X2, then find the distance between delta wolf and the first wolf, then find X3, then find the average. So we have to repeat this process up to the maximum iteration times. So the gray wolf optimization algorithm, this is the steps involved in gray wolf. First you have to initialize the gray wolf population. Here main coefficients that describe the characteristic of gray wolf is, one is a small a, this is a linearly decreasing one, and then capital A, whenever A changes, this A also changes, and another coefficient, this C is a 2 into random number. So after initialization, find the fitness value, identify the 3 best fitness value and taken as alpha, beta, del, and we have to start the iteration, update the position. First you have to compute the distance which mimics the encircling characteristic, then updation that corresponds to hunting. So repeat this process up to n number of times. T refers, every time we have to increment the iteration and check whether the iteration reaches the maximum. If yes, we can terminate, otherwise we can repeat this process. So these are the advantages of gray wolf. It is a very easy to implement and fast convergence. It involves only few decision variables. And the power of gray wolf optimization is, here the best solution is governed by this three best solution. So this is a main difference between this Grey Wolf and other algorithm. So there will be more chance for escaping from local optima, and a few parameters will need to be tuned. So next we move on to distributed about DG optimal location and sizing. There are so many drawbacks with the traditional power system. The main thing is that transmission loss, and it depends on fossil fuel, so it will be an environmental effect also. So DG is a limited power generation technology that delivers power at a site closer to customers. So these are the definition of DGs. So there are so many advantages of DG. One is economical, then environmental, then technical. These are the main advantages of DGs. So one is it reduce the transmission distribution cost, because we can place the DG on site very close to the loads. So we need not transmit the power through the transmission distribution lines. So the cost will get minimized. So electricity price also get reduced. And there are so many environmental impact when placing DG. It is a renewable type, either it's a photovoltaic turbine, micro turbine, or small hydro. So there is a loss reduction. This is a main thing for placing the DGs. Then it supports power sharing during peak load, so peak shaving. So while placing DG at an appropriate location in the power system, it enhances the voltage, and also there is a continuous power supply, possible for continuous power supply, and this congestion, the transmission distribution overload get relieved. These are the main advantages of placing DGs. Still, there are so many issues also. Whenever we have a DG, we can connect the DG through power converters. So automatically it injects some harmonics to the grid. So proper selection of DG placement is very, very important. Otherwise, it will lead to unacceptable voltage profile. So the types of DG may be renewable energy type. It is wind farm, solar, photovoltaic, and non-renewable energy type. So the location is very, very important. The optimal location to enhance the system performance, to minimize the power loss, that is a distribution loss, then improvement of voltage profile, to also improve the stability and reliability. So the final thing is we have to identify the optimal location for placing the DG in a power system. So these are the, based on the capacities, the DGs are classified as micro distributed, small, medium, up to 50 megawatt. It is considered a medium distributed generation. Otherwise, it is a large distributed generation. And based on the modeling, type 1 model, the DG will be able to supply only the real power. Whereas in case of type 2, it can supply both real and reactive. In type 3, it can able to supply real power and absorbing reactive power. That is an example for a induction generator. The induction generator, it supplies the real power, at the same time it requires reactive power for its operation. And fourth type of DG, it can supply only the reactive power. Example, the synchronous compensator. So before placing DG, first you have to select your choice, whether you are going to locate type 1 DG or type 2, and then number of DGs to be placed. Okay. So here this is one of our objective function. So here the majority of the power loss is due to the I-squared loss in the distribution side. So our objective is to minimize the power loss. We are going to allocate DG in the distribution network. So where our objective is to minimize the real power losses. Suppose we have NB number of branches, number of feeders, the distribution side, sum of the power losses. We have to minimize this power loss. This is our objective function. And then we have to identify the constraints. So the constraint is only a real power. There's a balance between real power generation, between generation and demand plus loss. So sum of generation equal to demand plus loss. This is a equality constraint, but this is an aggregated demand in the distribution side. This is a total power loss, real power loss. This P is already power at the source side. And suppose you are going to place three distributed generators, means in the sum of generation given by the 3 DGs. That is this one. It's a real power equation. And we have to identify the inequality constraints. Our objective is we have to maintain the voltage within a limit. So the voltage should be closer to nominal, whether should be within plus or minus 5%. So the In terms of per unit, our objective is the nominal one is a 1 per unit. The lower limit is taken as 0.95 per unit. Upper limit is taken as 1.05. And the current flowing in the feeder should be lies within a certain limit. And then this DG, the capacity of DG also we have to fix whether we are going to locate up to 300 megawatt DG, or so we have to initialize the minimum and maximum capacity. So this is an optimization problem. Here the loss, we should minimize the power loss in the distribution network. It is a non-linear equation, and these are all the constraints. These are non-linear constraints, and these are the inequality constraints to be satisfied. So we use a differential evolution for identifying the optimal location of DG in radial distribution network. First, you have to get the information about the network, line data, details, bus data, and then resistance and reactance of a distribution line, as well as the voltage limits. Then perform load flow. In case of a radial distribution network, generally you can prefer a backward forward sweep algorithm. So this load flow will give a compute the loss. Then we have to start our iteration. First, you have to decide our decision variables. Here we are going to locate DG. So first you have to decide number of DGs to be placed. Suppose our objective is to locate 2 number of DGs. Then we need 2 location as well as the size of DG1 and DG2. DG1 refers the DG to be placed in location 1, and DG is a size to be placed in size 2. Suppose we have 15 radial network, 15 bus radial network. So out of the 15 bus, where we have to place the DG. So we have to randomly select the location, that is integer number. Then we have to randomly initialize the value of DG within a limit. So here 120 refers either 120 kilowatt capacity DG, and 45 refers 45 kilowatt capacity of DG to be placed in location 7. So randomly select this location and DGs, then assign this value of generation at bus number 3 and bus number 7. Then perform load flow. The load flow will give the power loss per second also. Per second individual, once again perform load flow. So we can have a set of power loss. The power loss will be our fitness function. Then we can perform mutation, crossover, and then selection. At the end of selection, we have group of best solutions. So we have to update this process, and finally at the end of the maximum iteration, we have optimal locations as well as the size of DGs. So suppose this is a 15 bus radial distribution network. We have to locate the DG in a proper location in such a way that the total power loss in the entire network will be minimized, as well as there is improvement in the voltage profile. So these are our objectives. So we have to decide number of DGs to be placed and the size limit. We have to specify the limits, minimum and maximum limits. Then we can apply the algorithm. The algorithm may be either differential evolution or it may be a Gray-Wolf optimization algorithm. Here in this problem, the objective function is this power loss is our objective function, and these are set of the constraints. So that's all about the presentation. Have any queries?
Participants, if you have any query, you may give in the chat box, or you may unmute your mic and unmute. Are you having any query? Waiting time. On behalf of Kaelan College of Engineering and Atal Academy, and on behalf of all the participants, I thank Dr. Sujata Balaraman Madam for giving the wonderful lecture. You have elaborated a lot. You have given a beautiful introduction about optimization technique. And here is one question, Madam. How many bus system is possible to use? Any practical session for DG location? Sir, how many bus system is possible to use? It can be extended to any number of bus systems. Ideally,
There is a standard IEEE 15 bus system, 33 bus, 69 bus, and 118 bus large network also. So
It can be
first is
extended. It can be extended to any bus system. So here we are planning here practical session for DG location. So if time permits, we will have that in the last session, sir. By using some coding, how to locate DG, we will discuss in the last session. It is Friday afternoon. Any other queries from participants? Okay, ma'am. Okay, thank you for your wonderful session.
Thank you, madam.
On behalf of all the participants, I wholeheartedly thank Sujata Balaraman, madam. Thank you, madam. Thank you so much.
Thank you, madam. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, participants. Thank you for your listening.